How do we feel about recording in Somerville again, where every single car is an oversized pickup truck that creates all of the noise in the world?
I don't feel great
Honestly,
about that.
like all of the carbon emissions that are causing global warming probably are coming from South Carolina. Just Somerville, South Carolina.
I was going to say just this zip code.
Yes.
Specifically.
We're
due to the volume of trucks.
Due to the volume of white men.
Dude.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to season 2 of The Ride Home. I forgot what our podcast.
It's season 2.
I was like, holy shit, what is this?
Season
2 of... we're here. We're back. My name is Abby.
Hey, guys. It is Caitlin.
If you are unfamiliar with us and you're just joining us this season, we are...
Also just joining you for this season.
we just came up with the idea for the podcast.
We just showed up.
Yeah, we're here. We are from Charleston, South Carolina. We are married. I am a video editor by trade. Caitlin is a middle school guidance counselor. Yes. You can guess whose job is harder. Spoiler alert, it's not mine.
It's not you.
And we go to the movies every week and we do a review live from our car on the way home. This is the ride home.
That's the ride home.
So to kick off this season, we saw a movie that I think we were both truly excited for, simply for the cast.
Yeah.
I think the cast sold us almost immediately. I was interested probably in the content more than you were.
You definitely were.
But the cast immediately got us into the movie. And that is Air, parentheses, courting a legend, but we think they may have dropped that.
We think they did.
Probably for the best.
And we hope they did.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So Air is the story of the creation of the Air Jordan shoe.
Yeah.
So do you want to read the Google synopsis for everyone?
Yeah. And this is, I mean, it's just real short and sweet and very much to the point.
Okay.
Sonny Vaccaro and Nike pursue basketball rookie Michael Jordan, creating a partnership that revolutionizes the world of sports and contemporary culture.
Just a disclaimer, we typically do 50-50 episodes where it's 50% is non-spoiler, just our like kind of base review. And then the other 50% we dive in a little bit deeper and we do have spoilers. I think with this movie, everybody knows Air Jordan exists.
And it is a Nike shoe.
That
is not a spoiler.
So I don't really think that there are spoilers for this movie. There is nothing that's a surprise or a shock. So there will be quote unquote spoilers. We will be talking freely and openly about the movie. As I mentioned before, the cast is definitely what drew us in.
Yes.
And one of the
studded.
Yeah. One of the members of the cast is also the director, who everybody knows, Ben Affleck.
Yes.
Mr. J-Lo.
Mr. J-Lo.
Mr.
He's
J-Lo
made his
himself.
comeback because he just got back with J-Lo.
Yeah.
And now he's relevant again.
I know, right?
Now everyone's like, oh, Ben Affleck, we forgot about you.
And he was reunited with obviously his like childhood best friend and longtime colleague and co-creator Matt Damon, who plays Sonny Vaccaro, the lead. And the movie also stars Viola Davis as Michael Jordan's mom, Jason Bateman, Chris Tucker, Chris Messina. It was just like boom, 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 boom.
Marlon Wayans.
Yeah. So the cast was obviously packed with talent, but did it live up to the cast? That is my question for you, because we, as always, start with you.
We do.
What are your thoughts and feelings fresh out of the theater?
I have to just be honest, and I'm not gonna even play this a little bit safe. I fucking loved this movie.
Yeah.
This movie slapped.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I haven't walked out of the theater with this feeling in a while.
You feel like rejuvenated?
I feel just so excited that I got to watch this movie tonight.
Yeah.
Like, I feel God in this Chili's tonight. That's how I feel right now. I feel like Pam on The Office at the Dundies when she just feels so fucking fired up that she felt God in that Chili's. I felt God in this movie.
Regal.
I felt God in this Regal. I felt God in this Regal that we frequent at least once a week, sometimes more. This was just a special movie.
Yeah. Going into the start of this year, obviously we had some Oscar movies to catch up on. Like we had a couple of things that we still needed to see, and so it felt like we had like really good content like right at the beginning of the year. And then I remember looking at the schedule for March of like March releases, and I thought to myself, you know, I was debating whether or not we would take a break between seasons, and once I saw the March schedule, I was like, we are taking a break.
We will be taking a break.
There's nothing I want to talk about that's coming out. And when I was looking to see what I wanted to start this season with, obviously I was excited about this movie, and I had really big hopes for it because it was getting good buzz, and I enjoy everybody in this cast. I think at first when the movie started, it wasn't what I was expecting.
Okay.
I thought that there was going to be kind of that edgy, fast-paced editing that they sometimes do in that type of era movie. Almost kind of like Elvis, where it's like they're trying to put you in the era, but like they kind of like aggressively force you in the era. And the movie started really slow. And I was like, wait, am I gonna hate this? I'm so happy to announce that within like 20 minutes, I loved it and continued to love it. And this is by far the best movie so far we've seen this year.
100%.
That like came out this year.
Yes.
Truly one of the funniest movies I've seen.
Yes.
For quite some time. I mean, I would think that like the funniest movie I've seen like previous to this would be the Nicolas Cage movie that we both loved.
Yeah.
What's it called? Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I always forget the name.
It's such an odd name of a movie. Yeah.
I think everybody just knows it as the Nicolas Cage movie. But I don't think I was expecting this to be as funny as it was. And it wasn't funny in like a comedy way, like Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. It was funny in a very realistic and natural way. So you almost felt like you were in a room with your friends cracking jokes that real people crack.
Yes.
And I loved that about this because I felt like we got to know the characters so well, even though we saw none of their home lives at all.
No.
But I feel like we got to know them so well just because of like the way that they interacted with each other and their individual senses of humor. And really the only character that was like larger than life was the CEO of Nike, who was played by Ben Affleck, where kind of he came across as more of like a comedic character.
Sure.
But to be honest with you, based on the pictures and the credits, he seemed like he may have been that person.
Yeah, it seems true to form. I mean, it seems like that's kind of his style.
Yeah. The writing was impeccable.
The writing was amazing.
And I think you're going to agree with me.
Okay.
I think the heart of this movie wasn't Matt Damon. It was fucking Jason Bateman.
I felt like that too.
Did you?
Yes, and we don't all know. You know.
I know.
That I love Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
And I know that's controversial because as a person, apparently he sucks.
He's just, I don't know if he sucks.
Like
I think he's
asshole.
just mean to fans.
Sometimes I like when people are mean to me, so it's fine. He can be mean to me, but he's a wonderful actor.
Yeah.
He really is a wonderful actor.
I thought his performance was the performance of the movie as well. And Viola Davis was in the movie, so like that's saying something. Right. If like Jason Bateman is acting.
I want to say, I feel like I'm kind of at a tie between Bateman and Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck was great too.
Ben Affleck fucking killed it.
He was so funny.
He was really funny. And like Jason Bateman was funny too, but like I agree with you. Like he was a little bit more heart to it. Matt Damon was great.
He was great, but I feel like you knew what you were getting from the very first scene with Matt Damon, and he really didn't change much. He didn't have much of an arc. And I feel like even though he was not only the main character, but literally in every scene.
Yeah. It was the Matt Damon show.
It was the Matt Damon show. And he did a really good job carrying the movie on his back. But I think if we didn't have the heart and soul of Jason Bateman and Viola Davis and like the heavy comedy of Ben Affleck, it could have been a really bad movie.
It really could have.
Because Matt Damon was one note the whole time. He just rode the same. It was like he was driving a highway on cruise control.
Yes. And I do feel a little bit like that was intentional. Because like you were saying, you know, how they showed the pictures of the real CEO of Nike at the end and how you're saying like it kind of felt like Ben Affleck was like matching him.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe that's who this Sonny Vaccaro guy kind of is. Like, he's just kind of a one-note dude.
Yeah.
Who kind of bops around, wears his pleated khakis, and
those
just
khakis,
eats his TV dinners. Like,
right.
He seems kind of like a routine sort of a dude. You know what I mean? Based on how they depicted him in the movie.
Right.
So I'm like, maybe he's just like a plain dude that just loves basketball.
Yeah.
Like, he's a real smart dude who loves basketball.
I feel like everybody knows a guy who just knows a sport so intensely, it almost becomes their personality for a little while.
Yep.
And he seems like he was just that guy, but like for basketball.
He's just the basketball guy.
He's just the basketball guy. And I know that there were some scenes where they were trying to get us to like feel like inspired by Matt Damon. But I'm not going to lie, like I never really felt inspired by him. I felt more inspired by everybody else around him who had so much more to risk in this decision. Because they basically are offering Michael Jordan a contract where they would normally separate 3 people, 3 draft picks. They would offer a contract to 3 of them. And they decided to try and throw it all on Michael.
Basket.
And I felt like they did a really good job at showing us what Jason Bateman would lose. They showed us what Phil, who is the CEO of Nike, what Ben Affleck would lose. They showed us how like the creator of the shoe has been trying to design something like this for years and nobody's really given him the opportunity. And he's just this like dude in a cave creating shoes that he doesn't really feel passionate about.
Basically, the entire basketball line at Nike was on the line with this deal.
Right.
Like, there was a scene where Matt Damon kind of walks out and he's just kind of looking at everyone that he works with. And you can feel in that moment, like, holy shit, all of these people and me might not be here anymore if this doesn't work out.
Right.
And like, everyone's ass was on the line. And like, I felt like that whole emotion was so strong that like we felt that for them. Like, we were like, shit, dude, like, Damon, you got to figure this shit out, man.
But it's interesting though, because they even said like in the movie that he could find a job elsewhere. Like, he has this savant level knowledge of basketball where he has the freedom almost to make this kind of risk. And I think having Jason Bateman's character, where there's a scene where he like truly describes like, hey man, like if I lose this, like I lose a lot more than what you lose. I think a lot of movies that show kind of these like historical entrepreneurial endeavors, like almost like The Social Network, where the lead is typically this really arrogant, really driven at all costs, doesn't matter what happens to the people around them. Even though Matt Damon's character was very one note, I did feel like he in that moment accepted like the gravity of his action, and certainly he pushes forward with it and decides this is worth the risk. But again, I really don't think it would have been as good of a movie if that supporting cast wasn't there, literally just like holding the entire movie up.
No, I totally agree. And I think another reason why it worked, like the cast specifically and the whole dynamic, is because Matt Damon's character, Jason Bateman's character, and Ben Affleck's character, they kind of made little references to like the old Nike days, like da-da-da. And so you kind of got this feel, and it really felt like this from the beginning, that like the 3 of them were like brothers. They've been through some shit. They've had some really high highs, you can tell. They've had some really low lows, and they're not like Nike's. I think it said right at the beginning, Nike's market shares like were like 18% compared to Converse was like 50 something. Adidas was like 30 something. So like Nike wasn't in a good place,
which is so weird coming from like today,
right?
And like thinking back at a company not being as pervasive as it is now, like thinking about that time, having it be so different.
And that's so weird because now all you fucking see is Nike. And so it was just like, you could tell though, with that being said, like Nike was irrelevant, they all kind of felt irrelevant, and they were kind of in that together. It was like a trauma bond. Like And I think that's what worked so well with this particular cast, because yes, Matt Damon was one note, even though he was the lead. It just like they played off of each other really so well.
Yeah.
And like you said, the writing was incredible. I'm really impressed by this entire ensemble.
Yeah.
You know, we were very starstruck when we saw the trailer for the first time. Like I was like, oh my God. And then like every time a new actor was revealed in the trailer, I was like, oh my God, him too. And now her. It was just like crazy. Absolutely, this cast lived up to the hype. 100%.
What also lived up to the hype for me, because for some reason, I don't know why, because I was born in 1990. I never experienced the 80s. For some reason, my entire life have loved everything 80s. I like 80s film. I like 80s music. I like 80s attire. Like I like how they dressed back then. I like everything about the 80s.
I heart the 80s.
I heart
like
the
on
80s.
VH1.
I used to watch that all the time.
Of course you did.
And for some reason, I just like always had this affinity for the 80s. One thing that this movie did really well was that it wasn't just showing us this particular story. It really showed us like the entire era. I mean, it opened with just a sequence of basically what was going on in 1984.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like so much of it was so iconic, like while they were showing the clips. And I thought to myself, if they showed like a series of clips from 1993, would that be the same? You know, like
right. Yeah.
I feel like every year probably there's stuff that we remember and recognize. I never remembered like the exact date of things except for like 9/11. Like I know that was in 2001, but that's about it. But the way that they captured the 80s, and again, this is not from experience, this is just from like witnessing the culture through media. It was so unapologetically 80s.
Yeah.
The soundtrack was amazing. We were literally like jamming in the
I was like trying not to sing too loud because I knew all of the songs and I was like, fuck yes.
You started like humming at one point and I like wanted to be like, hey, like there are people in this movie.
I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna hum. It was Peter Gabriel, okay?
Yeah. What was really interesting to me was when they presented Michael with the shoe prototype, I was like, I'd wear that today. Right. Like it was crazy that something that was designed 40 years ago. Ew.
Yeah. 40 years ago. It'll be 40 years next year.
Wow. I need to retire.
Send us to the home. Put me on Medicare because
call
it's
AARP.
Time. It is time. Where is my Social Security check?
We're going to start ordering things off the TV.
We're going to go to the early bird specials.
4 payments of $20.99.
Jesus Christ.
Wow. Oh my God. Yeah, you're right. Because I'm 30.
We're 30, so that's only 10 years older than us.
Oh my God.
Ancient history is what we will be called from here on out.
Carve us into stone. Jeez. Anyway, it was such a long time ago, but man, like the shoe design still holds up.
100%.
So no wonder he said yes to the dress because God damn, that's a great shoe.
Wait, why? Okay, just a quick sidebar. Yeah. Because you saying say yes to the dress is exactly what the fuck those meetings are. Yeah. Like they're literally like, okay, so here we have for you this little thing. And like, what do you think? And like, he just has to go to all these little boutiques and look at his little shoes. And then he makes his little choice.
Yeah.
And he like thinks about it and his mom helps him. And it's literally picking out a wedding dress.
It's Michael Jordan's episode of Say Yes to the Dress. All this movie was missing was like a really effeminate gay man that works in a southern
what's his name?
wedding
Randy,
boutique.
the guy at Kleinfeld's in New York.
Was that in New York?
Yeah, he's just Southern.
Oh, he's Southern. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know much about him, but he is Southern, I believe.
So speaking of Michael, I have a question for you. Yeah. What are your thoughts about the decision to never show Michael's face?
I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really cool thing because the funny thing is we didn't see the actor who was playing Michael's face.
Right.
But we saw
actual
Michael Jordan's face through footage. Obviously they had some little super cuts of him in different times where they kind of flashed, things that happened in his life, but not seeing the actor who's playing Michael. I think that it was almost like Michael Jordan is so like Michael Jordan that like we're not even going to pretend like someone's going to pretend to be him.
You want to know something really funny?
What?
I've seen an interview with Ben Affleck. And he said literally that.
Did he really?
So you nailed it.
Yes. Fuck yes. I just felt like it was like, no, because Michael Jordan
is Michael Jordan. Yeah.
And like there's not going to be another Michael Jordan. We're not going to pretend, because really this wasn't a biopic about Michael Jordan.
Wasn't. We barely knew it. We knew that he wanted a car.
We knew he wanted a Mercedes, a red Mercedes. He was from North Carolina.
That's about it.
And he was a rookie in the NBA.
Yeah, they didn't really go into like who he was.
And he was like kind of fussy about, he really liked Adidas.
Yeah.
That's really all we knew.
He liked their tracksuits.
Yeah, he thought Adidas was cool because he was like a kid. And
like same, who doesn't like a good tracksuit?
Adidas was more relevant at the time. Like we get it, whatever. But I thought that was very, very cool because we saw his figure. Like we heard, we saw his body like walking around in the meeting. We saw the back of his head. But it was almost just like, you don't need to see. Like we all know who we're talking about. We all know what the fuck Michael Jordan's face looks like.
Right.
Even me, a person who literally has zero thoughts about sports ever.
You're becoming a little bit of a basketball fan.
All of a sudden I'm a basketball fan. But like, I'm just saying,
and player.
That's a loose term we're using.
Wait,
for
listen.
myself.
So I got Caitlin on the court the other day. She hurt her foot on day one.
Listen.
We don't even know how. We come home. She didn't say anything on the basketball court. We come home and her foot is blown up like a balloon. She's like, get me some ice.
I think I know how I hurt my foot.
How'd you hurt your foot?
Because I wasn't wearing Air Jordans.
We need to go to Nike immediately.
We will be going to the Nike outlet this weekend to buy some Air Jordans.
Okay, I'm going to admit something a little bit embarrassing.
Oh, I love this.
Can I?
I love embarrassing confessions.
I teared up once or twice in the movie.
Same.
Why?
I'm not sure.
It wasn't that I was sad, and it wasn't that I was... I don't know what other emotions you need to cry. What are they? List them.
Well, for me,
it's everything.
I cry for every emotion. So that's... I think people cry when they feel moved. Like...
Inspired.
Yeah, inspired.
I don't know what it was.
Joy can evoke tears.
You know what it wasn't? Maybe it wasn't that for me. I think a little bit was like a sense of, again, I didn't live in the era, but I feel like it was a sense of like nostalgia. And
I felt the same way.
It was something like, like you were saying about like the character of Michael Jordan, like who he is as a person. He's so big and there's such an aura surrounding him. And I think the choice of not having an actor play him and showing, like you said, all of that footage of him, there's something really moving about watching someone who is that great at what they do, and especially somebody that you grew up with who was that great at what they do. I remember very vivid memories of being in like the basement of a childhood friend watching Bulls games because like the Bulls were everyone's favorite team back then just because of him. Obviously there was like, Scottie Pippen and all that, but like it was just something so special about that time. And even though I am still a basketball fan, I grew up playing basketball. I like LeBron James. I think he's an amazing player as well. But like watching this movie back, I got that like feeling back of like, man, Michael Jordan was it. Like he was fucking it.
Yeah.
And I loved how Viola Davis herself, like playing his mother, basically the only sense we got of who Michael Jordan was
through his
mom and like through his mom's eyes. And obviously like most mothers think the sun shines out their kids' assholes, like
specifically their sons,
right? But like she was right about him. Like she was right about his greatness. And I think any mom can tell you that her son is great, but hearing an actress portraying Michael Jordan's mom talking about his greatness and knowing what he's capable of. There was one scene where I teared up a little bit with Viola Davis, and then I'm not gonna lie, I teared up in a supercut of Michael Jordan. I was just like, wow, I feel so nostalgic right now.
I felt like that too, because like you said, certainly we've established that I am not a sports fan,
right?
But I have two older brothers who are ESPN 24/7 type dudes,
right?
And I grew up with them being obsessed with Michael Jordan. and like Shaquille O'Neal, but like mostly Michael Jordan. And they
Yeah.
had like Michael Jordan posters and Bulls like pennants in their room.
Yeah.
And so like it was very nostalgic for me because I just remember that being a part of my childhood and him being a part of my childhood. I felt like watching this movie, I know it wasn't a biopic about Michael Jordan, but I felt like watching this movie, it was like watching history happen. And it felt like watching history come to life.
And it's interesting because the movie's literally about a shoe.
Yes, it is.
And it's about like a capitalist desire to sell a product.
It's about a shoe and an endorsement of a shoe.
Right. Which like at its core is very empty and
It's
very
so American.
so American.
The most American shit I've ever
Yeah.
heard.
But again, because of the writing, because of the relationships between the cast, because of Viola Davis really building the character of not only like herself, which obviously she was super instrumental in everything. We can't like deny that. And also her presentation of who her son is and basically like introducing him to the world before the world really knew what he was capable
No
of.
one knew.
It was just an amazing story, which again had the potential to not be really that interesting.
Sure.
I'm sure on paper it looks like a really boring story. So I think they were really able to show us how much of a risk that really was, how it affected all of their careers and lives, and it really did turn into one fucking hell of a movie.
It really did. And I think what it also accomplished is that it showed that even though, yes, this is on paper a movie about a shoe and an endorsement, that culturally it's way more than that.
Yeah.
Because Michael Jordan represents so much to so many people.
Yeah.
And the shoe also.
Yeah.
You know, like his mom, when they were signing the deal, you know, was like, this is for the people who work at the mall for 2 weeks to be able to buy this shoe.
Yeah.
Because that's what this means to people. It's just such like a culturally significant moment that, like you said, on paper seems very empty, seems not significant, seems like another day in the life of capitalism. But like this wasn't that. This just wasn't that. It was different because Michael Jordan is different. This movie just really moved me in so many ways that I was not expecting. Oh my God, a cat.
Oh.
A fluffy cat.
Oh, baby.
Look at its little butt.
I know. Oh, where you see, sir?
Oh, it's so cute. Anyways, I don't know if I'll ever get over this movie.
Yeah, I think this definitely is obviously like our favorite of this year. And I think a possible early contender for like Oscar potential.
I feel like. Okay, are we ready for popcorn ratings?
We are ready. It's definitely a large for me. I really loved this movie and I highly suggest checking it out. Like there's I don't see a person not enjoying this movie, to be completely honest. Everyone in our theater was like cracking up along with it. So I think it's something that's going to be well liked by not just critics but audiences. So that being said, I think I already know your answer. But what is your popcorn rating?
This is like an extra large popcorn. Yeah. This is off the charts.
That might be your first extra large.
This, I don't know. Like, what in the hell happened to me?
All of a sudden, you're also like cracked out right now, which I know you get cracked out when you like love something.
Yes. I'm telling you, this movie is very special to me.
Yeah. It's going to be
getting like teared up right now.
Why do I feel like it's going to be one of your comfort movies that you put on when you like go to sleep at night?
It is.
I know it's going to be. I already know
it is. I already want to watch it again. What's going on? And I want to watch basketball and I want to play basketball.
You're a regular basketball star.
I think that I was meant to play basketball and I'm upset that I didn't.
I'm upset that Nike isn't offering you $250,000
yeah, what the fuck, Nike?
For a shoe deal.
Air Caitlin.
All right, everybody, that does it for us. We are, again, just very excited to be back with season 2. we missed it a little bit.
I know. I
we're
think
ready
that's
to
part
go.
of why I'm so cracked out tonight.
Yeah, you're just excited.
I was really excited to talk about a movie again.
Yeah.
Yeah, feels good.
It does feel good. Next week, we will be back with a review of 1001, which was highly recommended to us from our friend Eric over at E Squared Film Reviews.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Eric. And we truly just don't have interest in the Mario movie, which is the only other thing coming out.
No.
I'm sorry. It's just not for us. I love Mario, but it's not for me, and that's okay.
It's not for me. I'm Mario.
All right, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend. Happy Easter if you celebrate Easter. I hope you get lots of candy and ham and, yes,
deviled eggs.
Deviled eggs.
Shit, I can't wait for deviled eggs.
As always, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us on the ride home.